Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Sinners, making $8.6 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $258 million and its worldwide total to $339 million. So it seems that Sinners is starting to lose a bit of its steam right now. It's probably what many of us expected by this point. It's Memorial Day weekend, lots of competition, and the hype seems to have died down a bit for the movie at this time. It also suffered its biggest drop-off in its theatrical run for sure, but it cannot go without question that this movie is still a huge juggernaut. It's just that we're at this point in the box office run where it's definitely just slowing down. Even so, with its biggest drop being just 42% for a horror movie like this. I've said this many times before, but that's still an incredible achievement for this movie. The fact that the movie was able to hold as well as it has, and this is its biggest drop off, just unbelievable. And because of that, it has surpassed the $250 million milestone domestically. I think it's going to get to 275. Not sure if it's going to get to 300 million domestically though, because again, it's starting to slow down a bit, and we're pretty much in the middle of the summer movie season. Lots of big movies coming out, so that's going to cause it to lose a lot of theater screens and the momentum it had. But still though, this has been an absolutely historic run for this film. It cannot go unnoticed how this movie just defied gravity, the odds, just everything going against this movie. It was able to prove itself against, and that was a remarkable achievement. Even the international numbers are starting to pick up again, not as big as they are in the States, but they're showing signs of life. It's about to crack 100 million internationally, which is really good. And it should get to 350 million worldwide as well, which again, on a $90 million budget, ain't too bad. Yeah, again, this is going to be one for the history books. That there'll be generations after us talking about the legacy and the history of this movie's performance, how it just, again, surpassed every single expectation, even the highest of highs, and with this probably being the last time we see it in the top 5, man, at least it was able to have one last good run in the top 5 at least, and on a big holiday weekend as Memorial Day weekend as well. Not much more else to say here except job well done, bravo, you did it, Sinners. I don't know what else I can say here really except fantastic performance all around. Number 4 was Thunderbolt, making $9.1 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $175 million and its worldwide total to $355 million. Again, just not really branching out or overperforming, but not totally collapsing either. I think in some ways Memorial Day weekend helped it out. Maybe it was just one of the other movies that people had to see because the other movies were too packed. But on the other hand, there was a lot of competition. Again, lost a lot of its premium large format screens to said competition. Again, it's just seeming like the word of mouth isn't really doing its thing. As I've said many times before, people like this movie. They are enjoying it, but they're not loving it. It hasn't really reached out of its main audience, and unfortunately, it's starting to play a bit similarly to Captain America Brave New World, which is not what you want to see, because that movie had much worse reception, and this was supposed to be the comeback to bounce back from that, and I am assuming to be like a lesser Guardians of the Galaxy. This group of nobodies has a movie that opens alright, but then just explodes through word of mouth. But again, that's just not happening. Again, it's not a total loss, it's not a total disaster like some of the other big failures from the MCU, but again, it's just not really doing anything impressive, which is very concerning, because again, the reception towards this was much better than most recent MCU stuff. So not only is this movie not reaching the heights that people were hoping this would, but now it also puts a lot of pressure on Fantastic Four to really be the big Marvel movie, not just of the summer anymore, but of the year, since both this and Captain America didn't really do all that well. So yeah, overall just a lackluster performance, which I was surprised by. I thought it would be able to bounce back and expand through the positive word of mouth, but I guess not enough people were really interested to go and check it out. Again, it's not a flop, it's not a bomb or anything, but I would still say this is definitely a slight disappointment. We'll see if it has any more juice left in the tank, but yeah, I think it's safe to say that all eyes are on Fantastic Four at this point. Number 3 was Final Destination Bloodlines, making $19 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $94 million and its worldwide total to $182 million. So it seems that this movie was a bit on the front-loaded side. Most of the die-hard Final Destination fans went on the first weekend, and because of that, not too many people came to see it. This weekend, it fell over 60%, 63% drop-off, which isn't too shabby for a horror sequel like this. You come to expect that, especially when prior to this movie there was a ceiling for these movies. So again, that's what you would expect for a big franchise horror film like this, but still, I don't even think that really matters, since this is already like the biggest film in the franchise. It's going to be the first one of these to crack 100 million domestically, and again, we're only on this movie's second weekend, mind you. I also think the loss was due to, again, the competition, the fact that it lost a lot of its most of its IMAX screens this weekend to said competition. So loss of that, but still though, the fact that this movie is still putting in good numbers, putting in a good fight, shows the relevancy and the legacy of this franchise. People were thirsty for these gruesome, horrific deaths to unfold on the big screen, and people are still showing up for it. It's also going to crack 200 million worldwide, which is absolutely insane and bodes well for the film as well. $50 million budget, already doubled that, tripled that. It's, I'm sure, going to quadruple that by this point. Warner Brothers is very happy, and I'm sure we're going to get a couple more of these movies further down the road. So despite the big drop off this weekend due to the competition and being a bit on the front loaded side of things, the movie's still doing great. I can't see anyone being upset over how this movie has done, even with the drop off. So yes, a slight bump in the road. I think it'll be able to pull itself back up from this. Again, it's still got some time before 28 years later. Final Destination still doing really solid. Number 2 was Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, opening with $64 million this weekend, and including the Memorial Day numbers, it adds to a domestic total of $77 million and its worldwide total to $204 million. This is the biggest opening in the Mission Impossible franchise, topping Fallout, Mission Impossible 2, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, Dead Reckoning, the first Mission Impossible 3, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. The third biggest opening of the summer, topping Final Destination Bloodlines and Clown in a Cornfield, but still sitting behind Thunderbolts and a certain other movie we will get to very soon. And it's the fifth biggest opening of the year overall, once again topping Final Destination Bloodlines, but still sitting behind Thunderbolts, Captain America Brave New World, certain other movie we'll get to very soon, and a Minecraft movie. So let's just get this out of the way. No, this isn't gonna really be a success in the traditional sense. Unfortunately, unlike Brave New World, where that was rumored to be really expensive, but it turned out to be just a typical blockbuster budget, this movie was rumored to be very expensive, and it was very expensive. It is a $400 million movie, folks. Unfortunately, just way too many production issues with this thing, delays, the writers and actors strikes caused the budget to just balloon to absurdity. And because of that, I'm not sure if this movie is going to be able to get to where it needs to qualify in the traditional sense, box office success. Even Fallout has a ceiling. These movies have a ceiling. Like the Fallout was like the big film for them, and that would still not be enough to, under the traditional sense, consider this a success. With that said, though, I think this is a step in the right direction after the disastrous performance of Dead Reckoning. The reason why I say that is because it was able to not only just improve upon that film's opening, but it set a record high for the franchise, and I think the course correction for this movie really worked in its favor. They didn't put it out in July again to where it would just get slaughtered, especially this year, by the competition. They put it out much earlier in the summer. The marketing was much more effective, I think, really leaning into like this could be the last Mission Impossible movie. This could be the last time you see Tom Cruise doing stunts like this, and I think it caused a lot of the buzz and interest to really grow more than what it was for the previous entry. And I think the movie was able to benefit from that. And of course, Memorial Day weekend, obviously this has worked in Tom Cruise's favor before. And I think, being this being the first like big action movie since Thunderbolts, I think also just really helped it out. And internationally, this movie is doing really, really well. It seems that these movies still have a really big grip internationally. It's going to be interesting to see the divide between domestic and international for sure. But yeah, already made half of its budget back. If all goes well, it'll get to its initial production budget next week. What's going to be interesting, though, is seeing how this movie legs out. As we saw with the reviews, they were good, but they weren't great. And the reception from audiences seem to be similar. They're good, but they're not great. It got an A- on CinemaScore, which actually is on par with Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation, but also under Fallout and Dead Reckoning, which is definitely concerning. I mean, again, it's still on par with what people consider to be peak Mission Impossible, but it's also under what many other people would call like super peak, if that's even a term for the franchise. So it's going to be interesting to see what the word of mouth is. I mean, we saw how it affected Thunderbolts, and it's clear that these movies still have a huge grip internationally, and it's not like this is like disaster warning or anything, but definitely going to be something interesting to check out. Again, it's earlier in the summer. The competition isn't as fierce as it was when Dead Reckoning came out, and it's certainly not as fierce as it will be as we head deeper into the summer. It's got some time before like the juggernauts come out for sure, but yeah, this one's just gonna have to wait and see. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I jumped the gun with Dead Reckoning thinking, oh, it's a good opening, I think it's gonna leg out, and then it just completely collapsed. So I'm gonna hold my breath on this one. We're just gonna wait and see where this goes. If it continues to do really well like Fallout and the other Mission Impossible movies, I would say, okay, this movie's not doing too bad. It's not gonna double its budget, but this movie's not doing too bad. But if it falls like Dead Reckoning, then yeah, there's gonna be a big problem. So yeah, good start. I'll just say that, good start. We just need to see where this goes, but hopefully we continue to improve over Dead Reckoning. But if not, yeah, that's where we start ringing the alarm bells. Still though, franchise high, much better than the last film. I would still say good opening for now, at least. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, which was Lilo and Stitch, opening with $145 million this weekend, and including the Memorial Day numbers, it brings its domestic total to $183 million and its worldwide total to $341 million. This is the third biggest opening for a Disney live-action remake, topping Alice in Wonderland and The Jungle Book, but still sitting behind Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. It is the second biggest opening for a family film this year, topping Snow White, Dogman, and The King of Kings, but still sitting behind a Minecraft movie. It is the second biggest opening of the year overall, topping Captain America Brave New World, Thunderbolts, and Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, but once again still sitting behind a Minecraft movie. It's the biggest opening of the summer, topping Thunderbolts, Mission Impossible, Final Destination, and Clown in a Cornfield, and it is the biggest opening ever for Memorial Day weekend, topping Top Gun Maverick, Dead Man's Chest, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and X-Men The Last Stand. Absolutely dominated this weekend. Oh my goodness, you gotta give this credit to the original, because while yes, it's very successful, it made a lot of money back when it came out in 2002. I think it really stood the test of time, as time grew on and more people were able to watch it and give it a chance, its audience just grew and grew, and the appreciation and admiration for that film also was able to grow more than it did when it first came out in theaters. And because of that, many people were really thirsty for the live action remake. Look, so you can say whatever you want, but let's give credit where credit is due. The reason this movie's successful is because the last movie was really successful, though. But still, though, this is still a hugely successful opening. The fact that it's the first big kids movie in a while, the fact that, again, Memorial Day weekend, many kids are getting ready to go out of school for the summer or just got out of school for the summer, and this was a great way to start their summer vacation with their families. And the marketing especially was top notch. I said it last week, but again, the posters, the billboards, the animatronic Stitch, the Super Bowl commercial, all of it really worked and was very, very effective. And yeah, it all came to really just this movie dominating this Memorial Day weekend, so much so that it beat Tom Cruise twice. I'm sure he's fine. He's Tom Cruise. His ego will be shattered by this. He's just happy that people are going to the movies. But yeah, still though, this is an insane opening weekend, and the benefit of this is for two reasons. One, because this was originally supposed to go on Disney Plus. The movie was not as expensive as other live action remakes. It only costed $100 million. It's already tripled that worldwide. It's going to get to $500 million worldwide by next week, and certainly going to get to $200 million domestic very soon. And while critics were very mixed on the film, some critics really liked it, others not so much. It seems that general audiences are really enjoying the movie. It got an A on Cinema Score, which is better than most of the recent family films that came out. Day the Earth Blew Up, Snow White, and a Minecraft movie, those got B pluses, and it puts it on par with Dogman and Paddington in Peru. So that bodes very well for this movie. The word of mouth is really strong here. It wouldn't surprise me if this turns out like Mufasa the Lion King, where just the general audiences really eat this movie up and just generate it to numbers that a lot of people weren't expecting it to reach, even the highest of expectations for some people. And it's still got some time before the next big kids movies, How to Train Your Dragon and Elio, next month in June. So yeah, I don't know what else there needs to be said. An absolutely stupendous opening for Lilo and Stitch, and we're only going to go higher here. Like, we're already at our big contender for biggest movie of the summer full. We'll see which movies further down the road are going to make enough to challenge this, but as for right now, I think it's going to hold the crown for at least the next couple months. Yeah, once again, incredible opening for Lilo and Stitch. The sky's the limit here. This movie has a really big box office road ahead of itself for sure. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this Memorial Day weekend. But we're not quite done yet, as we got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we have one new major wide release, that film being Karate Kid Legends, the legacy sequel to, I guess, both the Jackie Chan one from 2010 and the, of course, original Karate Kid from the 80s. Don't know if it's attached to Cobra Kai. That's still up in the air. It's another Karate Kid movie. Now, normally for one of these legacy sequels, I'd have like really high expectations. It's been so long since the original. You know, the original stood the test of time. The Jackie Chan one certainly has its fans, and this looks really promising. And I think some of that can be said here. But because of how massive the top 2 movies were this weekend, I'm not sure if it's going to deliver on those high expectations. In all honesty, I think it's going to get overshadowed by them because they're the main focus right now, really, for a lot of people. And I'm not seeing a lot of the buzz or hype I did initially, but I think it's died down. The marketing has been solid, but it hasn't been great again compared to the other two. They're not really selling it as well as I think Paramount did with Mission Impossible, and certainly Disney with Lilo and Stitch. Yeah, not seeing a lot of hype or interest. Marketing ain't too great, and apparently the movie itself isn't very good. Reviews ain't out yet, but reactions are, and they haven't been great, folks. They've been largely negative. So yeah, I'm not sure if this one's gonna really bring it. I hope it brings it. It would be nice to see another surprise, but I don't know. I'm keeping my expectations a bit tempered with this. I'm not sure. This could overperform or underperform, certainly the wild card right now. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Following all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.